Hello and welcome to Down the Track. We are continuing our series of IPL team previews. Today we'll be previewing defending champions and four-time champions Mumbai Indians, the most successful team in terms of trophies in the IPL. So I have with me my co-host Abrar Aziz. Abrar, how are you doing?
Good. Excited to continue our conversation about the IPL. Always good fun.
Yeah, with the IPL approaching, today we'll be discussing the champions. The only disadvantage, one of the main disadvantages for them, I just want to start with, is that it's not an odd year; it's an even year, and they always win trophies in the odd year. So, what are your initial thoughts on Mumbai Indians, led by Rohit Sharma, who's been the most successful captain in the IPL, more than MS Dhoni?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's not the only team that would have probably been happy with the IPL not happening this year would have been Mumbai Indians because they'd have a chance in 21 again. But jokes aside, I think I like you said. I mean, it's the most successful franchise. They started off slowly. They had a first 4-5 years. They were not up there. Even though they had the likes of Sachin Tendulkar and all in the first 2-3 years, but they never really managed success until Rohit Sharma mid-season in 2013 came in and became the captain, and then they never looked back after that. They won 4 in the past 7 years, which is quite an incredible feat. And they've really kind of nurtured their team around a few rock stars, and those have continued to play over the past 5-7 years, and that has worked out very well for them. And they are sticking to those guns, and those big guys have always been performing. And every time
Yeah,
they perform, Mumbai has always won. So and again, even this year, I think the reliance on those players is what will take Mumbai through, or will make them fail. If they don't perform, of course, it's going to be hard for Mumbai.
yeah, that's very interesting. Like you said, they pick like 3 or 4 big players, like the likes of Malinga, Pollard, Rohit, and they stick with them till the end. Like
Yeah.
Pollard, there were talks 2-3 years ago that he's done, and like he should leave. But we saw that even in the Netflix documentary. But they were adamant, even the owners were adamant to keep Pollard. They have
Yeah.
that connect. They make that bond with players, and those players somehow come and deliver. We saw Pollard was counted out a few times, but he's come back and scored big runs. And now, after such a good CPL, he looks like a solid player. And like, yeah, your thoughts on that?
Unbelievable, man. He's really turned. There was a lot of criticism, of course, like you said, 2 years back, there was a lot of criticism about him not he's underperforming, and you saw to a larger extent there were games that he was really underperforming, and when they needed him to step up, he was misfiring, so to say. But I guess he took a lot of courage from the faith that the team management and the players and everyone kept in him. They continued to persist with him, and he really shined even last year. And with the form that he's coming in, he's also bowling, which he was lacking. He's kind of getting that all-round capability back, and incredible victory for them as well, to win the finals. And that kind of confidence to bring into Mumbai will be huge for Mumbai Indians, and that is one of the banking factors for them this year, I think.
Yeah, and he'll share a lot of the tactics and everything. He'll give Rohit Sharma some good advice. We saw him captain well in the CPL, so
Yeah.
he has that advantage as well. He brings that to the team. But if you look at their team, your eyes go straight to those 3 all-rounders,
Of
the
course.
Pandya brothers and Pollard, and you have
Yeah.
the likes of Rohit Sharma. So how dependent will they be on these players?
These guys, along with Bumrah, I think these 5 players are really the core of this team, which is a strong core. I mean, these are solid players. Uh, you just need them to perform. I mean, if they continue to perform like they have been in the past few years for Mumbai will go on to do big things this season again. I mean, 50% of the team is filled with some rock stars, and not to mention the likes of Quinton de Kock, Surya Kumar Yadav. These guys have been consistent, and will of course add to the power that these 5 bring. But these 5 are quite the core, and a lot will depend on how they perform in terms of how far Mumbai will go.
They have an issue with the middle order, especially the number 4 position.
Yeah.
My first question is: do you think Rohit Sharma will open? And if not, then who do you think will be the opening pair?
I honestly think they shouldn't mess with that. I think Rohit Sharma is a proper for white ball cricketer. He needs a few balls to just get in, and then he can really, take the bowling apart. And I don't think that they've tried that in the past when they've tried him at number 4, and it's not really worked out. Although I do believe honestly that because of the situation that they are lacking a middle order batsman before the finishers kind of come in, the all rounders kind of come in. That number 4 slot is similar to how the India had the problem in 2019 World Cup. it seems similar to that, but they shouldn't mess with that. I honestly think they should open with Rohit, but considering the team combination, they might consider Rohit at four because they have the likes of Decock and Chris Lynn who can open the batting. They might consider Rohit at four, but I would not do that. I would continue to keep Rohit at the top. That's why he's the best. He's your best white ball cricketer. You shouldn't mess with that position, in my opinion.
And
But that does
yeah.
open that little bit of a gap, that kind of small crack, which you don't want to see for a strong side like Mumbai.
Yeah, and that's what they've done. Even in their batting, they've stacked with openers. Then in the bowling, they've stacked with fast bowlers. But
Yeah.
the tournaments in the UAE where it's going to be conducive for spinners, especially as the tournament goes on. So the lack of spinners in the squad, does that worry you for if you look at it from a Mumbai perspective?
Absolutely. I think when the IPL auction happened, they didn't know about the COVID situation and everything. So I think that they went and bought a lot of fast bowlers, considering they might keep a green pitch in Mumbai, in the Mumbai Wankhede, and really may take the home advantage. And of course, things didn't pan out like that, and things have completely changed since then. So Mumbai is at a slight back foot in terms of that, because they have 4 or 5 foreign fast bowlers, and they can possibly maybe play one, maximum two
Yeah,
players. So it really kind of sets them back in that front.
yeah.
And the lack of spinner, like you said, especially in the UAE conditions in the second half of the tournament, especially when this pitches start to really slow down, that's going to really hurt the Mumbai Indian teams. And that is, apart from the number 4 problem, is another issue that I see with this Mumbai Indian team.
Yeah,
But
that's where the imbalance comes. So, like you said, like because they overdid it in the bowling
yeah,
department, a lot of foreign bowlers, and then the batting as well is very top heavy.
yeah.
So that's where, if it's exposed, that's where the problem will lie for Mumbai.
Absolutely. But like we said, I mean, these are two issues. Every team has small issues that they will have to challenge with, they will face, and they'll have to take that challenge and see how what comes out of it. But if the 5 players that we discussed, the core of this team, performs, I don't think they'll have to worry about these other issues that will come through.
Yeah, and Hardik Pandya had he's been troubled with injury recently, but now I think with that break it'll help him, and he'll be looking to go all guns blazing both with the bat and ball.
Absolutely, and I think this break again, because of the amount of cricket that he played, and he kind of was coming back from an injury, and then again he got
He
an
picked up
extended
that
break.
first injury in the Asia Cup in Dubai.
Yeah. So it's been a while
Yes.
since, but those niggling injuries, like we said, for a lot of players who kind of were playing with those niggling injuries,
Yeah.
this 4 5 months would have given them a nice little break. We spoke about Bhuvi, Bumrah, these guys, will be kind of really fresh and ready to go, and uh, this break would have done them good, and I think Hardik will be one of the other ones who will really benefit from this break.
Yeah, and a couple of players that you want like surprise packages for you, who you expect, like they're probably not the biggest teams, but some like a couple of players you think can perform for this team.
Yeah, in my opinion, Rahul Chahar, again, he was pretty decent last season. He took the mantle of the spin bowling department, and really took it upon himself to
Very
really produce
impressive.
the goods, and he was very impressive as well. And then one of the guys who's been very ever consistent for Mumbai has been Surya Kumar Yadav. I think one of these two guys will be the
You'll bat
guys
him
who
at number 3.
I will have to bat him at number 3. I don't have a choice. I think with the way the team set up, I think he will have to be my number 3. And there's a couple of combinations that we'll talk about when we talk about ideal 11, but he and Chahar and Yadav is are what I'm looking at, apart from the main core like we talked about.
Yeah, and
What about you?
I think for me it's Surya Kumar Yadav. I think it's his time to shine. I think he'll want to impress the Indian selectors as well. I think if
Yeah.
a good IPL, I think he can make his way into the T20 team. So I think he will want to do really well because he's one of those fringe players who hasn't made the team yet. But I think if with another good IPL under his belt, if he shows that consistency, especially in Dubai conditions when it turns a bit, if he can perform there, I think he will make himself no like he'll provide himself with a good opportunity to make the Indian team for the T20 World Cup.
Yep, and there's also a lot of talent that I've seen in Ishan Kishan. I really want
Yeah.
him to perform. It would be nice to see maybe him having a breakout tournament as well, breakthrough tournament. But it remains to be
Ishan
seen if
Kishan
he.
has a big opportunity because Rishabh Pant has been under the scanner, has been criticized a lot.
Yeah.
If he has a good IPL, then Rishabh Pant's position will be under the scanner. So I think Ishan Kishan like he would be wanting to do well as well.
I agree. I think I think from what little I've seen of him, I think he has a talent, but he really needs to like have a tournament that he goes all guns blazing, and he can really like the kind of tournament that Punt has had in the past couple of years,
Yeah.
where he's really taken the IPL by storm and scored those big runs. He needs to have that. He's a decent keeper as well, which although if Quinton de Kock plays, he probably won't be keeping, but he has that talent as well. So something I'm looking forward to as well, Ishan Kishan. I just don't know if they'll be able to fit him in the team and how they'll do that, but there's a lot of permutations and combinations that can be worked out because this team has a lot of depth. So the depth that'll help them.
Yeah, and just before we go on to the ideal 11, Lasith Malinga, a big miss for them. He's been their player since day one, since the IPL started. Your thoughts on that and his replacement, James Patterson?
I mean, it's almost unfair that Patterson has to come in and fill such big boots. I don't think he will play. He will be a backup. There's, like we said, there's a lot of fast bowlers in this team. There's Bolt, there's Mitchell McLigan, there's Coulton Isle. So these guys, I mean, Patterson probably comes third or fourth down in the pecking order.
It was that Malinga over which won them the IPL last year.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been such a huge impact. He's been that sixth player amongst the other five that we talked about that have been ever present for this Mumbai team, and this will be a very very big miss for Mumbai, and a lot more pressure on Bumrah as well.
Bumrah, I was gonna say it might affect him because before he knew that even if he does get hit here and there is Malinga to come and put on more pressure. We talk about those bowling partners. I think those two were brilliant last season, but I think that will put extra onus on Bumrah.
Absolutely, and that's gonna be telling how he comes out of that and how he really takes that pressure, and if he can perform in those conditions, it really shows that he's matured as a player as well, and that's something I'm looking forward to seeing if that happens or no.
Yeah, and can you walk me through your ideal 11 for Mumbai Indians?
So there's with Sunrisers, when we spoke about it was a little bit easier, but I feel like there's a couple things that we'll probably go through together. But I think Quinton de Kock and Rohit Sharma as my opening pair, there just has to be those two. Surya Kumar Yadav at 3, and with considering how good a CPL Pollard has had, I would consider Pollard at 4. If Pollard doesn't play at 4, though, then I would go with Ishan Kishan at 4 and play Pollard at 5. But let's go with Pollard at 4. And then we have Rutherford at 5. Give him a chance, at least initially in the tournament. I'd like to see how he goes because he gives that all-round capability as well. And then we have the Pandya brothers at 6 and 7. Bumrah at 8. Bolt at 9. And then you play Dhaval Kulkarni at 10 and Rahul Chahar at 11.
Rahul Chahar at 11. So your 4 foreigners are...
there's the Bolt, Pollard, Quinton de Kock, and Rutherford.
So no McLennigan in your team.
If the Rutherford thing doesn't work out, then you remove Rutherford and get Ishan Kishan in, and then you bring in Mitchell McLigan.
And you're playing Bolt.
I'm playing Bolt as my main bowler. Yep.
Yeah, I think Bolt and McLennigan might be a straight swap as well, like going out. Because looking at injuries and even performance-wise, you could like rotate because McLennigan does bowl the slower balls and stuff. It might be useful. That could be a straight swap depending on performance. The only issue I have, I think that is a really strong 11. The only issue I have is Rutherford at 5. If he clicks, it'll be amazing.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't click, then they might just have to play Rohit at 4, Kishan at 5, and open with Lin and de Kock because it'll be easier for Lin to play the new ball, and then Rohit can handle the spinners.
I agree. That is an option that they can.
So Rutherford's performance, if they go with this 11, Rutherford's performance will be very interesting to look at.
It's key. Yeah. The reason I have Rutherford in my team is because he gives you that all-round option, and he also does bowl those slower ones and stuff like that. He can he has those variations. Although he's inexperienced and it can be exposed, but it's something I'm looking forward to seeing because of that all-round option.
And he's a highly talented batsman. I've seen him in the GT20 as well and the CPL. He can hit it long, and like his strike rate is right up there. So he can like be a vital player, but it's just I'm not sure how he's going to play the spin, especially on turning wickets. But if he can conquer that, then I think this 11 will be the strongest one.
And they have the two Pandya brothers and Pollard around him, like that really gives you that cushion to go out all guns blazing.
Yeah.
And they have really strong top three as well, like with
Yeah,
Rohit Quinton and Surya Kumar Yadav. I think that kind of
yeah,
base covers all the bases, and it gives them a lot more bowling options just in
yeah,
case one or two doesn't work.
yeah.
They have the likes of the Pandya brothers, Pollard can chip in, Rutherford can chip in. Pretty much everyone from number 4 can bowl in this
Yeah,
team.
yeah.
So
But do you think in that middle order, because they're all big hitters, Rutherford's a
yeah,
big hitter as well, Ishan Kishan is a big hitter. Do you
yeah.
think there'll be a problem in rotating the strike, because that is key in T20? Like we always talk about the big hits and everything, but in a bit more slower pitches, challenging conditions, you need your players, you need your batsmen to rotate the strike as well.
And that is the issue that I see. I also don't know who else they can bring
Yeah,
in.
because in
That's the
in
issue.
Australia or in somewhere like England or even in India, this team would be amazing. Like just
Absolutely.
put hitters everywhere. But
Yeah.
because of the conditions slow, you need to rotate the strike. You might need an anchor. It's not 100% always required, but you might need an anchor, especially in these conditions.
And that's why they might consider Rohit at 4 again.
Yeah,
Will it work out? Remains to be seen.
yeah. But you're
But
going with this 11 first, and then see.
see how it works out. I just want to see how Rutherford performs, and with the kind of backing that Pollard, the Pandya brothers, will give him. And this Mumbai team, I mean, you can never write them off, but this is a very very strong team, and even with 11 that I mentioned, it's just a very very strong team. They can, if they click, they can go on and win this tournament quite easily.
Yeah, and do you think would you say the biggest strength is that they have these all-rounder options, like three all-rounders who can give you 4 overs and go for the big shots?
And make it with Rutherford, they make it four. They
Four,
have
yeah, four all-rounders.
four proper all
Yeah,
rounders that give you both. They give you enough for the bat and the ball. You know, like
yeah,
that really helps this team. So they can actually even maybe not even have Dawal Kulkarni, and maybe try Anukul Roy or someone as a spinning option, because they have the likes of Rutherford and Pandya who can chip in with the ball as well. You know, like
yeah,
that kind of stuff. They have a lot of variations that they can do with that bowling attack. They can try Anukul because pitches slow down. You have
yeah.
that extra spinner coming in, so you don't need Dawal Kulkarni. You can just maybe because these four all-rounders give you 1 over each. That's your fifth bowler. So that
Yeah,
kind
and
of
someone like Rutherford and Hardik and stuff, who have variations,
yeah.
it won't be that easy to hit them when as the pitches go slower as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So this is a very strong side. Is just those small little clinks that they have, in
Yeah,
terms of will they be able to rotate the strike on slower pitches? How will these big hitters perform? And the likes of how Chahar will continue to kind of take in the second season, and people, because a lot of teams would have really seen a lot of videos, and they kind of have plans against him. That was kind of missing in the first season, but now they have enough footage for them to see and kind of grasp how he's doing, what he's doing, to kind of come out of the second season syndrome will be something I'll be looking forward to seeing.
yeah, and where do you see them placing in the rankings after the group stages?
Throw a curveball at you. I'm going to say fifth.
Fifth, so they're not qualified because it's 2020.
Yeah. That's the
Fifth.
main reason. If it was 2021, though, they'd be first.
They'll be first. Yeah, I think like you said, it's hit and miss. They could either win it or like capitulate. Uh, that's what's happened with Mumbai over the years.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've either blown hot or cold. So it'll be interesting to see. I think also injuries, they'll be looking at that. If like someone like a Hardik or like a Pollard get injured, that will be very crucial.
Yeah.
They don't have as much backup, but like in the bowlers, they do have backup. So it
Right.
depends who gets injured or if there's any issues. And the batting as well, they're a bit like you said, the middle order will be a thing, but they're still stacked till the end. So
Absolutely, absolutely. They have backup. It's just a matter of those guys kind of coming in and performing to the level and expectations for someone like a Pollard and a Hardik kind of give you, that kind of high expectations is kind of hard to deal with. That kind of expectations for someone like an Aditya Tare to come in and kind of perform at that level is always hard.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And anything else you want to add about
what do
this?
you think? Where do you think they finish?
Sixth. I'm just
Yeah,
going with the I'm just going with the gut feeling. If you analyze it, I think they should make top four.
yeah.
They have that team to make it to the top four, but so many changes this year, and it's a new year, it's an even year, and I think also the lack of spinner might hurt them.
I
Uh,
think that's the biggest problem.
because
The
if
lack of
Rahul Chahar
spinners.
starts spinning it, but then there's only his 4 overs, then they're going to
Yeah,
have an issue. And Krunal Pandya is not the biggest turner of the ball,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But yeah, if he does get grip and he can be effective because he bowls it quick, but he's not like he won't flight it, right? So I think those kind of bowlers will be He doesn't get massive turn, Krunal.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Like a Jadeja's a bit different. He's also
Yeah.
quick through the air, but he does get that turn if there's assistance. So
Right.
it'll-
Although there is not to forget, there is Jayant Yadav that he could
there's
play
Jayant
a
Yadav,
little bit of a
yes.
key role because he
Yeah.
kind of really flight
Yeah,
safe.
yeah. Okay,
And,
I forgot him. So I mean, they do
yeah.
have a backup spinner. So I think that and he'll be very good in the power play.
Yeah. Actually, that he probably takes over that Dhaval Kulkarni role eventually.
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well,
I
you know,
think
if it
they
doesn't
should.
work out.
Yeah, they should get him to the
Because
team.
he can also chip in with the bat if needed. So he
Yeah.
comes in at 8, and then we have Bumrah, Bolt, and Chahar at 9.
There you go. So they kind of solved that spinner problem. But
The problem as well.
yeah, but it'll be interesting to see like how they go about it. But I think we've covered all the bases for Mumbai Indians, and let's see how they go. And thank you so much for joining me. And see you for the next team preview. Take care and have a good night, man. Take care.
Take care. You too. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.